Hello and welcome to our very first podcast episode, Men Need Healing Too. I am Claudia de la Cruz, your host, and we have Street Rev, your co-host. First, I'd like to kind of give you a little bit about how this podcast got started. For one, it's in memory of my husband. Um, he passed away a few years ago, and it's also dedicated to the group of men that I've worked with. They taught me a lot about men, trauma, the difficulties behind healing, and this could not have been done without them. So thank you. You know who you are. So now we can get started. Rev,
Yes.
let's start talking. So many years ago, Rev and we actually met. I was at Head Start and I was a family advocate, and he was one of my parents. And every day I saw this man coming in, showing up for his kids every single day. He was there. He was there. And he was the only father that I would see actually being as as active in their child's lives. So one day I had this bright idea. And I asked him, I said, "Hey, I said, would you be available to host a fatherhood group?" And he said, "Yeah." So we got that off the ground. We ended up getting Black and Latino men together, and that's where it all started. After that, my brother here, he just kept going, and to this day, he's still out there helping other men. So, Street Rev, tell us a little bit about what got you started on this journey.
Okay. First of all, I want to give shots out to all the viewers and listeners. We're not scripted here. One of the things me and my sister have always done is been organic. So we organically want to feed you today that no weapons formed against you shall prosper. And what got me started was back in Wisconsin. Um, a brother by the name of Mr. Curtis, I call him Mr. Curtis Lewis. He had 4 or 5 daughters and 2 sons. And one of his sons was up, to go to the NBA. And unfortunately, taking up for his sister cost him that. They stomped that man to almost death. And one of the things that I admired when you talk about a dad showing up was Mr. Curtis Lewis' energy of showing up for his children. And I remember, because I don't know my biological dad, I met him once. I remember saying, before I had met him, if I knew my dad, I wish he could only be half the man Mr. Curtis Lewis is. And I remember helping Mr. Curtis Lewis and the son that had got stomped out of the wheelchair coming to church because I was, doing the ushering. So I came outside and I noticed, and I came and I helped, and I noticed the other son was nervous. So I knew that they had dropped him once before. And from that day on, I said, I got to do my part. And Mr. Curtis Lewis had left and went to Hawaii for a vacation. And when he came back, I had 21 men sign up. And I called ourselves the Dads Club. And I learned through being connected to other men how much trauma we suffered in silence. And at that time, I didn't know about trauma, right? I just knew the biggest thing people were, I ain't gonna be no punk, and I ain't gonna. And I'm like, the whole time, but we suffering because we don't keep it real. We talk about keeping it real, but that's the thing that we don't do. And society has taught us, boy, don't tell your business. Men don't cry. I got a scar on my head right here because my cousin opened the door and it busted my head. And I'm 7 years old. I start screaming and hollering. And my cousin, older dude that come in the house, supposed to be a player, boy, shut up. Men don't cry. So from 7 years old, I was taught how to master my emotions. So coming through the Dads Club and other fellowships that I've been led to lead and learn from, that's what just keeps me going, sis. Just wanting to do my part I get judged a lot as a man talking about healing. Oh man, you soft, you whatever. But I learned something. Um, in your softness is where you're able to hear your conscience. And society has built it. Even I'm gonna end it right here, where society has built it now, where they're funding the women in my culture even the more, so that way we do feel broken. I tell men all the time, you know, even if you're not with them, don't let the baby mama drama stop you from showing up for your seed.
Thank you. And I mean, that's one thing you didn't do. I mean,
Till this day.
you were admirable, you were remarkable, and you just shined. And I knew that you were going to go places, that you were really going to be able to help other men heal. Because your background, during one episode, we'll talk about your background.
Okay.
All the impacts of the trauma, where it led you. But so I knew, just watching you, the way you were with your kids, the way you just loved on them, the way you protected them, that you were a real one, that you were a real one. And I only wish that more men would be able to have that part in their child's lives. Because we're missing so many fathers, we're missing so many dads from engaging with their kids, and it's affecting them. It's affecting them tremendously. So tell me a little bit more about, that was your turning point. What kept you going all these years?
Not knowing my dad, um, wanting to be, wanting to do what wasn't done for me, and me being a big old kid, and me loving my kids, period. And then I even seen where, you know, the two times I was, my first two marriages, when it was time to leave, I didn't leave my kids. I took mine with me. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
The
yes, he
game
did.
changed.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I witnessed that one. Yes, he did.
I'm like, I ain't gonna leave all this on you, mama. I got these, right? Because I knew my kids had different energy. Hey, Queen. I call my sister Queen. I'm gonna relate to a time where I came to the school to surprise my son, and he had bullied and acted out to where he acted like he had to go to the restroom, and he wasn't supposed to be going to the restroom at that time, right? He was supposed to be taking a nap. So I came in and seen you, and you told me, yeah, he acting up today. I'm like, where he at? He went to the bathroom. So I remember going and stand by the door and waiting for them to come out. So he came out with a mug on his face, and I looked at him. And my son, he got that special kind of name. I name him Mr. Famous Finesse is his first name. So I looked at him. I said, Mister, what are you doing? And he looked at me and he cracked a smile and he went right back into mugging. I'm saying, I'll be damned. In a preschool mind, he didn't already learn how to operate and move. So I knew from time of raising my children, because I did the potty training, all that. I did that because I wanted to make sure that my handprint was with my children. While they were in the belly, I'd rub the belly, I'd talk to them. Whatever Mama Cravens was, I went and got that because I was creating a relationship with my children before they came into the earth realm. Mm-hmm. And that came from my brokenness, but I didn't know it then. But because I did not get that, I was able to give it. And one of the things that now is coming up on my screen is I started that with my baby brother. When my baby brother was born, my mom and I, she had left me and my grandmama's for years. But then after she got pregnant, I become the best babysitter available, right? So it'd be like 2, 3 in the morning. I'm waking up, changing his diaper. And at the time, y'all for to tell my age, you had to put the bottle in the pot and let it heat up. You know what I'm talking about? And then turn that thing to make sure it ain't too hot. And then you squeeze that nipple to make sure, the temperature is right. And
You're
then
right
I would
on
go, yeah, come on now. And And then I would go and feed my baby brother and go back to bed and then jump up for school. So bless God, I've been having this internal, they say we have two parts. So my mothering internal thing kicked in with my baby brother.
Okay. And I think you just mentioned something very important and powerful that a lot of us didn't know at one time. How we are able to help develop that
Mm.
child even when it's in the womb before it even comes out. So you talking to your babies, rubbing their belly, just allowing them to hear your voice has
Yes.
already had already started a connection between the both of you.
Yes,
And that's
because
powerful. That's powerful.
you know what's this? Fantastic. When I would leave, sometime I, be paid. I was a motivational speaker.
Mhm,
Shouts out to the late great Reggie White, and they would send me different places to go and speak.
mhm.
And sometimes I'd be gone for a day or two, and Fantastic wouldn't move. Uh, um, um, Previous wife Julia, she would call me and I'm going to the hospital. This baby ain't moved in a day or whatever. Soon as she hear my
Yes. Yeah.
soon as
Mhm,
she hear my voice or Fantastic may not have moved, I pull up on the block, that girl start kicking and whatnot. So it is very important for us to have that 1-2 punch because the mother's carrying her, the mother's feeding her. But it's very important for the dads to do their part. Just chime in, bro. If when you're just coming home from work or when you wake, I really believe in waking up in the morning and rub that belly and pray over that child, man, and speak to her. Just have a conversation.
mhm. Yeah. You can even sing to them. You can read to them.
Yes, I can't sing. I ain't gonna do that one to
Yeah, don't do that. But anyway, um, okay. So what was, I know we talked about your turning point, right? But how do you feel? Why is it so difficult for men to be able to create change, a positive change, to learning how to be emotional, learning how to feel,
her.
learning how to cry? What what is that barrier that continues to feed this male privilege?
Well, the black and the brown says we've been taught. You
Hmm.
feel me? Because I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. That's all we're gonna do is wrong, folks. Conversation, right?
Yep.
So we want to heal, all right? So we're gonna keep it real with you. Never to offend you. We're just gonna talk truth. One of the things with the black and the brown is we've been traumatized by the outside world. Stay with me, y'all. So in the inside, we felt like we had to build protection and a protector and a provider. We can go back to the day with spears where they had to go out and hunt. You know what I'm saying? A wife might not know if her husband was coming back. So we're taught in the inside, protect your business, don't do this, be strong. And there's so much masculinity
Hmm.
that was told to us for good reasons. You know what I'm saying? They taught us police, whatever, just say what there's a difference. People be talking about ain't no difference, the same for that's not true. So we're gonna keep it true, okay? And one of the things that still is happening, I pulled over some guys, my youngsters, and I told them, I say, look, man, the whole car smell like weed. Then y'all jumping out the car with y'all hoodies on. It's
Hmm.
70 something degrees, and you got hoodies on, the whole car smelling like your accident waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So we don't get the same uh, privileges that others may get. And Oprah Winfrey did a study. She went out in the town and, did these things. So there is a difference in what is still happening that I notice is one, I don't want nobody to really see me. I have to protect, I have to keep this mask on because this is what
Hmm.
I was taught. For two, and I'm guilty of this one, I didn't want to be wrong. I didn't want to be wrong. And when I was wrong, it made me feel embarrassed. And I wasn't really wrong. It was just a part of learning. And when most males, if I may, I'm gonna bring it relevant. When I was going through it, and being honored to walk with your husband. One of the things that stand out in my mind is after I gave a project or a homework assignment where it was uncomfortable for him. Oh, I didn't hear from him for 2 or 3 days. And men shut down when we feel vulnerable.
And as quiet as it's kept, a lot of times when we feel angry or we turn to violence, it's because we may be fearing something. We may be, but we're afraid to actually say, "Hey, I'm afraid," right? I'm feeling scared here. So it's easy for us to go ahead and feel like it's a threat that we need to protect ourselves. It's the
Yes.
fight or flight
Yes.
kicks in.
Yes.
If
Yes.
we had healthier um healthier upbringings, healthier connections with ourselves, with our parents, with our loved ones, with the world, with society, we would be able to manage those differently and not jump to violence or not jump to hurt others. Because it's like they say, hurt
Hurt
people.
people hurt people. That's real.
And it's real. It
That's real.
really is real. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I touch on that?
Yes, please.
I Anybody out there, you ever been mad and don't want to be mad? You get stuck up in there, and then the more people ask you, "Is you all right?" You screaming and hollering, "No, I'm not all right, but I don't know how to get out of here."
Mhm.
And then what happens if you have a mate or a spouse or whatnot? What happens is 9 times out of 10, then the spouse shut down because the spouse don't know how to reach you. Now you stuck by yourself even more, and now the spouse then took that energy. And in the past, I heard one tell me, "Oh, well, I just said forget you, and I was going to go get my nails done or whatever." And I said, "No, Mama." I say, instead of saying forget me, just be there when I come out. It's a hard place to be in, and it's very dark. And for me, I used to be a violent person. I used to act out on that pain, right? And in my adulthood later on, I became more calm. I knew how to go take a walk, or as ironic as it may sound, take that breath, that breather, that woosah.
Hmm.
Or sometimes I would just mess up my own self, and that's what led me to drugs and stuff. So looking for that temporary feel good, or trying to soothe the pain that really starts at childhood.
Yeah. That self-medicated thing that we do,
Yep.
right? Where we turn to drugs,
Yep.
we turn to alcohol, and it's easy for us to hide that pain underneath those substances. But in
Yep.
reality, we just continue to create harm within ourselves.
Come on now. You don't know how
As
many times I've been. You don't know how many times since I've been out there embarrassed. You know what I mean? But I
Mhm,
was too embarrassed to go home, so that would lead it on. You know what I
mhm.
mean? But it was never a cure. I
Yeah.
never was healed through that.
And for men that are carrying trauma, there is a lot of shame, there's a lot of guilt. Um,
Mhm.
but all those emotions are internal because they don't know how to share them, right? So what do you feel needs to happen to be able to start healing these generations? Because we're seeing a generation right now where it's just gone wild. There needs to be so much healing in order to stabilize these young men and their lives. What is missing?
We have to stop being scared of our young men, first of all. Second of all, we have to be able to look in that mirror and identify what your strengths and areas that you are still working on. Speaking to me first. And we need more shows like this and opportunities to be heard and to listen. And if something strikes inside of you, I remember a young lady said to me a long time ago, when I was a child, if that bothers you, that means there's something about that you need to work on. So
Oftentimes,
men, we've been,
go
go
ahead. I'm
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oftentimes, we have these triggers that trigger us to be angry or be violent. But there is actually something that is underlying, which is what
Come
you're
on.
saying. There's something underlying. If we could stop and kind of think about it and really like, why am I feeling this angry? Because somebody said a specific word to me. What is it? What is it bringing up for me from my past, from my childhood? What is it? If we could stop and just kind of start kind of reflecting on why, on the whys, um, it could really have a huge impact on you understanding why certain things affect you so much. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no, you good. And that's the part of when I was talking about the woosah or taking that moment. I remember in a past relationship, we started exchanging more than what I cared for. So I'm always going to tell a person, I'm going to exchange with you maybe once or twice. Then I'm going to shut down. I'm going to let you know because then I feel as though we caught up and both of us is trying to get a point across that's not being heard. And
Mm-hmm.
instead of getting into a shouting match, I'm gonna leave the conversation. And I've been told I was disrespectful by leaving. And so I pointed out to mama, no, because you hurt the little boy in me feelings. So I had to take the little boy for a walk. I
Mm-hmm.
had to
Mm-hmm.
talk with him because he was on something else. He was ready to escalate and his feelings was hurt. So I had to take the grown man in me and be like, come on, dude, let's go walk and
Mm-hmm.
talk it out. And when I came back and explained to her, no, I didn't disrespect you. I just had to take my little buddy and she looked at me and she looked around. I'm like, inside,
Yeah.
because that's where the turbulence is. It's on the inside. And I know from, you know, being incarcerated for putting my hands on somebody, that don't work. It's a temporary moment. Like Eminem say, you only get one shot, right? Life and death can happen in a split second. So I would say to the men and the women that's listening right now, make sure that you're able to hear your conscience being before you allow your flesh and your emotions. Don't react. I think that that's one of the, no, I know for a fact because I'm out here in the streets. I work, with BACS, Bay Area Community Services, and I'm out here in the trenches. I see what happens through reactions. I see on a daily. I know from my own experience. I'm not on here acting like I got it all together, but I'm not where I used to be. And that came from having to look in the mirror. That came from having to have talks like this. That came from me, with my children, calling me on my stuff, having people around you that's going to better you and not just go along because they want to see when you're going to fall.
Very true. Very, very true. So during these episodes, we're going to have some heart-to-heart talks, right? We're going to talk about mental health. We're going to talk about trauma. We're going to talk about domestic violence. We're going to talk about emotions. And a lot of these topics can be really difficult for men to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one of the most difficult topics that I've had to really be gentle with men is their inner child. Because once you actually get into that, connect with that inner child, so many things come up. So many things come up. And it can be very powerful. It can be very impactful.
Come on. That's the best way
I've
to say it.
seen grown men cry as they tell their story. And it gives me an insight on the why you're sitting here, why you need to be here. So I think that we have shared a bit of what this podcast is going to be like. We will be having guests to come in. If anybody out there would like to share their story, um, please feel free. Send me an email. We'll read it out if you'd like us to, or you can come on and you can also share your story yourself. So this is what we're here for. We're here to listen. We're here to help guide your healing so that you no longer have to live in pain. Last words?
Yes. And when she said no longer live in pain, please believe me, there's a beginning to the end. And you have to be able to want healing. And I want to encourage everyone, men and women, can't nobody heal you. You're going to have to do the work. And something she talked about when men get, I call it discombobulated, when they have to deal with the greater one, the little kid inside. Man, I'm telling y'all, that's one of the best places, though, bruh. I had a man lay his feet and hands on me, and I wasn't but in the third grade. Um, Man beat me down, stomped me. I had two broken ribs, a black eye, and a broken heart. And it was my mom's boyfriend, you know, and we'll talk about that later. But one of the things that, no, yet one of the things that I learned through all that is that nobody can help you be the person that you need to be if you're not willing to do the work. Don't look for somebody else to do the work for you. People can assist you. And when they're assisting you, one of the things that I learned, because I do a lot of work with men, is I'm just gonna say it. We get offensive too quick. And I'm talking to Frank first. I used to, man, then I turn around and seen it in my kids. And I'm like, whoa, okay, okay, okay. I mean, I handed it down.
Mm-hmm.
So now I got to go to work on it. And I
Mm-hmm.
make jokes with my kids about it, but I'm working on it. And they see me working on it. And I work with it with them. So we have to understand that the healing is there. I don't care. I turn 63 next month. I'm steadily evolving. And I'm here to tell you guys, you can overcome. Trust me when I tell you this. Man, y'all look, trust me. But we gotta like all gas, no brakes, and be like, this is what I'm on right now. Even if it's just 15 minutes a day. Take something, do something to encourage yourself to be a better you, not surfacely, inwardly.
Thanks, Rev. So I leave you with this reflection. What does healing look like for you? To
Mm.
all men, what does healing look like for you? If this is something you've been thinking about, but you've been afraid to kind of step into it, what does it look like for you? What does it mean? It doesn't mean you're going to be perfect, but you're going to be honest with yourself. So these are harsh conversations that we're going to be having. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for stopping by and listening to the Rev and I. And we look forward to the next episode where we come back with even more information and more healing. Until then, have a good one. Stay blessed.